So what exactly is a record player anyway? Well, they work by a concept called phonograph. But now you may be asking, what is a phonograph? Encyclopedia Britannica defines a phonograph as an instrument for reproducing recorded sound by transmitting to the air, directly or indirectly, the mechanical vibrations of a stylus in contact with a sinuous groove in a moving record creates the sound. In other words, a phonograph is an instrument for recreating recorded sound. In 1857, the first prototype of the phonograph appeared on the scene constructed by Leon Scott. However, there was no records for it to play. Later, in 1877, Thomas Edison and his team developed a cylindrical record wrapped in tinfoil that was covered in indentations. The cylinder was then rotated on a string with the stylus or needle touching it. With this development, they were able to produce a sound. Edison tested this new device by recording and playing back himself reciting the words, "Mary had a little lamb," and thus the phonograph was born. Further on down the line, a German-born inventor, Emil Berliner, developed a new type of recording in the form of a spiral on a flat disc. The flat disc was more durable and produced a louder sound than the cylinders and ultimately became the standard for recorded sound in 1894. The major problem with the phonograph at the time was that it required a hand crank, which made it unsatisfactory. The issue was brought to Eldridge R. Johnson, the owner of a small machine shop in Camden, New Jersey. Johnson created a spring-powered motor for the device and was soon building entire record players for Berliner's company. Johnson made a lot of improvements on Berliner's invention, one of which was a bent horn to amplify the sound and take up less space. He eventually also created a record from thermoplastic that was even more durable than the original, and by 1910 almost every famous singer was represented on record. Growing popular in the 1920s with the use of a microphone, artists were now able to record complete works such as symphonies and operas with improved sound quality. Much later, in 1948, the Fine Groove record made of vinyl was created by Columbia Records. The Fine Groove record appeared to create much less unwanted surface noise, which made it very popular for music listening, and is the type that we still use to this day. One other issue that record players encountered were that there were two different sizes in existence that only a player designed for that size and play speed could use correctly. This was only an issue until the creation of RCA's revolutionary two-speed record player in 1957 for playing both sizes and speeds. The record player went on the rise all the way up until the 1980s. In the 80s, with the development of the compact disc, higher quality recordings could be made, copied, and played more easily, and that made record players no longer highly sought after items. That being said, they are both still in production. Records are made of a material called vinyl. To create the vinyl record, first a metal record with ridges instead of grooves is made. The metal record is then used to form a hollowed out stamper, which is used in a hydraulic press. Vinyl is pressed between the two parts of the stamper, and the stamper then uses steam to soften the material and press grooves into it. Then using cool water, the disc is siphoned. The record has flaws as well as benefits. The benefit of records is that they provide a much more rich sound than other formats of listening. By the mid-20th century, nearly every household had a record player. One flaw with records, though, is that they can occasionally skip a groove, interrupting a small part of a song. Record players have been redesigned over the years, yet the basic parts still remain the same. The visible parts of a record player that are important to the user are the turntable, the needle, the stylus, and the tone arm. So this is your basic portable record player. It's only considered portable because it has this handle right here, making it resemble a briefcase. In other words, the player can't be moved while it's being used. This record player has a few newly added functions that are kind of cool. For example, it has this auxiliary port right here, which makes it so I can just hook my phone up directly and use it like a set of speakers and just play music like that. And that's cool and all, but at the same time, if you have a record player, it's because you want to listen to some records. So let's see how that works. So here we have the basic parts. We have the stylus here for following the grooves of the record. This is the tone arm right here. Holds the stylus, like I said earlier, just a second ago. And it's actually raised and lowered with this switch, and that's to prevent you from damaging your record, because they can actually very easily be damaged by the needle, because it has to follow the grooves. If it cuts the grooves, it can break through, it can skip, and just bad stuff. You don't want that to happen. And finally, this is the turntable right here, and that's for rotating the record under the stylus to produce the sound. And as you can see, it actually starts moving when I move the arm towards it. And here we have different speed settings too, actually, for different size records. And also for different size records, I have this adapter right here. It just fits on like that. Now let's look at how to put a record on. So we just very carefully line this hole up with this middle pin. Just move the needle over. Just hit the lever. And wait for it. It's getting there. So that's how that works. Let's say you wanted to play track 3. So as you can actually see right here, there is different levels and sets of grooves with this line separating them. So we would just move it over to the third set of grooves, line it up and drop it. And there's track 3. That is how you use a record player.